Hello, this is Sibila Action Vocal and welcome to the second episode of the new series that is 100% dedicated to you and the analysis of your vocals. Today, as previously, I've randomly chosen 5 recordings for today's analysis. Also, huge thank you for the technical feedback that you shared in the comment below the first video. I've hopefully managed to fix all of those issues and today will be much better. Alright, so without further bullshit talking, let's get started. And again, the order is totally random. Okay, so let's go.
Oh, oh, you, oh, oh, you.
Alright, so let's stop for a little. This is the recording from Pavel. Let's find the message from Pavel. Let's see what he has to say. I would like to have your opinion on my false chord scream. I would like to know if I am on a good path from biological point of view, if I am using false chords and not epiglottis. That's a good fucking question to answer before trying to progress your vocals. And sometimes I started to lose in texture of the sound as I am practicing. There is no immediate pain while practicing, but I often feel exhaustion after maybe 10 minutes. That's not too long, to be honest. If you would be so kind and find the time to look at it, it would be great. Best regards, Pavel. Cheers from Poland. Thank you for the recording. So, again, Pavel practices false chords, screams, and he wants to know if he's using precisely his false vocal folds for the false chord technique, false chord screams, and not epiglottis. And there's another issue. He can scream only for around 10 minutes, which is not too long. I mean, like, not too long overall, but for someone that does vocals, I don't know, for 1 week or a couple of days, or even 2 or 3 weeks, 10 minutes of false chord practice every day or every second day is good enough. Anyway, let's get back to the recording. Let's listen once again.
Oh.
Alright, so we can stop here and listen once again. Listen carefully, not only to the way how Pavel is growling, how he's producing his false chords, but to the very beginning of the recording.
Oh.
Yeah? So do you hear that? When we inhale the air, like, it's a huge over-exaggerated breath. It's pretty flat. The amount of air is huge, but the breath itself is pretty shallow, you know? It's not, or it's like that breath wants to be big and deep, but it's only like, it's stuffing our throat with extra unnecessary pressure, which is working against our vocal folds and our larynx. And our voice without attempt for the false chord would sound like this. So remember that posture and breathing can decide whether you will produce a good quality part of vocals and it will be comfortable even before you will start to produce any kind of sound. the way you stand or sit or whatever you do with your body, and the way how you inhale the air can decide whether you will fuck up vocals even before starting making any sound. And that way of inhaling the air is definitely not helping Pavel to produce deep, powerful, and precise, like precisely engaging false vocal folds and growl or scream. Let's listen again. Overall, it's not bad. I don't want to mock anybody. This is pretty good growl, especially for a beginner. I guess that Pavel is a beginner, which means that he can practice vocals like even 2 or 3 months. It's totally normal, and it sounds pretty decent. But I am picky because I am analyzing every small detail that impacts the vocals. Listen again. When you inhale through your mouth, don't do the because that also creates unnecessary tension in your lips, for example, and pressure. It's very hard to inhale deep and fast when you do something like this, you know. It's like 1/3 of a normal breath, so it's like and do you hear the difference? It's not about the placement, about what I do with my voice. It's just about the quality of how I inhale the air. Anyway, so it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. It should be like and only breathing itself improves the quality of my vocals, but most importantly, my comfort. And my false vocal folds are at the same time more precisely engaged, because when I do something like you hear that kind of rattle. This is epiglottis and a little bit of arytenoid cartilages and a bit of false chord. But when my breathing is good, I can more precisely engage my false vocal folds for creating the false chord. So this is why I focus so much on, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 first seconds of the recording about only the way how Pavel is inhaling the air, because it has a fucking huge impact on the way how he sounds and the level of comfort while doing vocals like this, you know? So if you are inhaling like that, it's harder to engage your false vocal folds precisely enough to do deep, powerful false chord, and it's much harder to stay fresh throughout your practice and not die after even 10 minutes, you know? That was actually pretty good. Let's listen it once again. That short part. If I had to point out only one thing to fix in the technique of Pavel, it would be the breathing technique, especially the way how he is inhaling the air. So, the breath should be fast. It should be deep enough. Our upper chest and shoulders shouldn't move. And it should be silent. So it's not like or it's just and there's one simple exercise for fixing the way how we breathe. The case is very simple. We exhale the air with a sound like like we were blowing into a balloon, or hissing sound like while hissing, we observe if we feel muscles in the area of our solar plexus, our navel, overall core muscles, deeper belly and back muscles. We observe them and we tell if we feel that they help us to push the air outside. So it's like place your palm on your solar plexus. If you feel that your solar plexus is moving slightly outwards, you do it correct and you properly use your breath support and your core muscles for pushing the air outside. I will try to show you it. I don't see, what view do you have? So it will turn out how does it look, what you will see when I will edit the video. But anyway, I will try to show you my solar plexus. So here are my fucking cool tits. Here is my solar plexus, and I am hissing the air outside. Let's try with the F. This was the solar plexus. If it moves forward as you exhale, you do it properly. Now the navel, the belly button, you can place your palm there, and again we hiss. As you see, my hand is moving backwards on the belly as I exhale the air. So there is antagonism here, The solar plexus area naturally moves forward and the navel area moves naturally backwards as I exhale. So if it works that way, in your case, you are using your breath support properly. So this was the first part of this exercise for fixing our breathing and avoiding any kind of constrictions in the area of our shoulders, our upper chest and our back and so on. This exercise serves for creating an automatic, as effective as possible habit of inhaling the air. So that was the first part. We take a closer look at our supporting muscles to see if they work properly. And the solar plexus, as we exhale, should move naturally forward, and the area around our navel should naturally be pulled a little bit backwards. So it goes like this. Solar plexus and the belly button. Okay, that was the easy part in this exercise. The second one is easy too, but in theory it can be sometimes a bit confusing, so listen carefully. Okay, so we know that we use for exhaling the air the breath support, and the second step is to direct the relaxation towards muscles that we used for the push outside. So if you feel that you used this and this for pushing the air outside, you direct here relaxation. You want to relax those muscles that you used for pushing the air outside. So it's like and you direct your relaxation. And you observe if the hand on your belly is moving gradually forward as you relax those muscles after exhaling the air. So we exhale, we leave a little reserve of air. We don't use everything we have, we leave a little bit, like 30 or 20% of reserve of air. Then we want to relax here. And as we relax, we observe if the belly is being pushed a little bit forward automatically. It should happen automatically. We don't have to force anything. Furthermore, we shouldn't force anything. Our body knows what to do when we exhale and inhale properly. In this case, we exhale properly and then our body on its own inhales the air automatically. Okay, so again, and we relax. You can do it slower, and we relax. And we relax. If it works like that, then you do it properly. If it doesn't work, give yourself time and practice that every day, like 100 times a day, until you will notice, firstly, that the solar plexus, as you exhale the air with s or f, moves forward, and the belly button naturally at the same time moves backwards. Then exhale again, s or f, and direct to those areas relaxation. And as muscles are relaxing, observe if the hand on your belly naturally moves forward, and if you feel that the air is automatically coming back to your lungs and your diaphragm. And what next? It's not only about the breathing itself. We want to use that mechanism in songs. I find it really helpful, especially during live shows. Okay, so let's take some random lyrics from songs from my band Vishurda. By the way, feel free to check out our album. Currently, we work on the second album, which we plan to release this year. Anyway, so we have that, I don't know.
The force of us become about the good.
And I took air like 4 times, at least 3 times, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. It was. And again, at least 2 or maybe 3 times of inhaling the air. But the process of inhaling the air was very fast, and my body on its own regulated the depth and the amount of air. I didn't think about that at all. It was just engaging my muscles for the breath support and then relaxing them a little bit. Then body knows that it should inhale a little bit of air, and then again you get back to your vocals. So it's like the air is just circulating, you know? You don't have to bother yourself too much with, oh, I should inhale to my diaphragm. Oh, now it's time for breath. You can do it intuitively, you know? And once you will create a habit. Okay, so that was the simple exercise of how to fix the way we breathe for vocals. And let's listen to the recording once again. So we know that breathing fucked up the quality of vocals a little bit. Indeed, there is the epiglottis and arytenoid cartilages engagement beside the false chords, the false vocal folds. We know that probably and mostly because of the shallow, too big but shallow breath. And what can also help to engage false vocal folds more precisely, beside improving the breathing technique, is to try a little crescendo. Crescendo means that we gradually increase the volume. It's for singing. We sing one note and we increase the volume. So it's mostly one note and I am simply increasing the volume. So something like this can be adapted for the false chord practice. So we are not attacking hard. We don't do the glottal attack. When we do false chord, like it's more like or you can do wah or wo.
Whoa, 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 wah, 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 whoa, 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 whoa.
We let the sound to growl instead of pounding it like this, you know? So it's like
Oh, oh, ah, ah, ah.
instead of doing it that that harsh way. All right, so that's it for this recording. Pavel, fix your breathing technique. Create a habit of automatic, deep, fast, and silent breath, and gradually adapt it for the technique. You can practice with vowels, so it can be like
A-I-O, 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 U-Y-E, U-Y-E.
and so on. Then you can practice with words. I don't know.
Awaken my brothers.
When words separately are good, practice with whole lines like
Awaken my brothers. Offenders we rise.
and so on. Alright, so let's move to the second recording. Then again, the first recording for today, as previously, probably took me like half an hour. Alright, so we deal here with some rock, kind of post-grunge stuff, and the recording is from Nira Nise from Poland. Yeah, that little break at the end was so fucking cute. I love it. And let's see what she has to tell us. Oh, it's here. Fuck, it's in Polish. So I would try to give you a short context of the whole thing. So, Nura just recorded a short demo and as a part of practice before serious recordings for her full album. And she wrote that she's singing too high. Probably it's about the screaming part that is too high. She also mentions that it's closer to the direction of distortion, and she thinks that she combined a fry noise with her clean voice, clean broken voice between the lower and the upper register, something like a method from Chris Lippe. Lippe. I guess I'm pronouncing it properly. If not, sorry, Chris, and let me know if that's a good pronunciation. Anyway, shortly, Nura is practicing recording before and recording seriously for her album. She's doing a vocal break, fry scream, and she mentions that she's out of key. And what we can do about that? Let's listen fucking again. And there are those little breaks. And that's really something sweet. I like such stuff in female vocals. That's really cute. Anyway, there's plenty of such things in Pretty Reckless, as far as I am concerned. When it comes to male singers, which I don't prefer with such a style because it's a little bit whiny, like and Godsmack. But overall, I love old stuff from Godsmack, and Sally Erna was a very fucking huge inspiration for me a few years ago. Anyway, let's focus on Nira and her vocals. So she is using those little sweet breaks. And then she combines her broken voice with the fry distortion. That little break is so sweet. Almost like from pop music, like Rihanna or something like that. Okay, so it's out of key indeed, just a little bit. The screaming part, it sounds like there is voice in that scream, but I don't hear any specific pitch, you know? So that's probably it's out of key, because it's kind of like it seems to be pitched, but the voice beneath the scream is chaotic. So it's, I don't know, it's not something like let's take a note like yeah. It's not like singing with distortion that we are pretty close to a specific note. It's more like there is a bit of a pitch. I almost hit the note, but there is not enough of the voice to exactly hit that pitch. So that's why probably it's out of key. It's just a noise. It's too chaotic. The proportions between the clean voice and the pitch and distortion are on the advantage of the distortion. So that's why you are out of key. So if you want to improve that, try to balance the amount of distortion and the voice that you use. So again, if I will use too much distortion,
This is also a broken voice.
so who knows where I am, like everywhere at the same time, because it's just a noise. But if I reduce the amount of distortion and I will focus a little bit more on hitting a specific pitch, then I am pretty close to that note, and it's much more clean than previously when I focused too much on the distortion. So if you want to fix that, balance the amount of your voice and the distortion, experiment with that. I'm sure that you are able to achieve it. So it's just a matter of practice, a couple of tries, and that's simply it. Let's listen once again, maybe we will hear something extra. If I had to point out one more thing to fix beside balancing the amount of voice and the distortion, is the way how you begin the phrase, how you try to begin the sound, because you do it definitely too forcefully, and that's why your vocal folds are producing much higher sound, higher pitch, and it also makes you out of key even more. Let's listen again. There's that. That's the beginning of that phrase. It's like instead of, for example, and so you know what I mean. The beginning is simply too heavy, too intense. It creates extra pressure in the larynx, maybe even in the jaw. Tension in the jaw is also making our vocal folds getting tighter. This is why I talk about the jaw now. So it's like, and this is something to fix as well. Balance the intensity of the very beginning of the sound. If you will push it too hard, and you will produce higher pitch. And if you want to stay in key, it will be much harder, because probably you will produce too high pitch. It's very easy to get out of key or to use much more distortion than you want to use. So you will be too high, there will be too much distortion, and it equals to being out of key. Alright, so that was the second recording from Nira Nisa. She will be huge soon. I wish her all the best. Really cool little vocal breaks when she's singing. That's really fucking sweet. Okay, and now let's move forward. By the way, you must know something about Nira Nise. She knows her shit really good, and she is not singing like from yesterday. And this is not the best recording that she could send me. She probably sent me one of her worst recordings just to get to know, just to learn what she needs to fix. So keep that in mind. Also, for example, Mr. Unlucky from the previous episode. He's fucking good screamer, you know. I am following him on the Instagram. I also invite you to follow him on the Instagram. He has really decent screaming, especially fry scream, especially mid-high and high pitch, you know. So when we are listening to the recordings from various people from around the world here, just keep in mind that those recordings can be the worst from them, because they want to learn what they need to fix in their like weakest points. Oh, they want to learn what are their biggest weaknesses and how to solve them. So this is also something important that I wanted to mention. All right, so now the third recording.
Jak drzeć mordę jak Chester Bennington z Linkin Park.
Oh, all right. So this video is not sent to me by its author. It's sent to me by one of my students that came onto it on TikTok. This is why I don't show face of the guy, because I don't know if he would like his face to be shown here, especially when the context, I mean my analysis will be not too positive for him. So as you see, I've placed there a nice cool picture and a translation. So it goes like jak krzyczeć jak Chester Bennington z Linkin Park, and in English it's just how to scream like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. This video is longer than 30 seconds, but I think it can be interesting for you to give a listen and to hear what I have to say about that, just in case if you came onto something similar on TikTok or YouTube, Instagram, and stuff like that. just so you would know what type of bullshit you should avoid in your practice, you know. Okay, so let's start again with this video. Let's watch it firstly, and then we will analyze it step by step.
Jak drzeć mordę jak Chester Bennington z Linkin Park. Najpierw tak, jakbyśmy chcieli kaszlnąć, czyli
Like we wanted to cough.
tu się zatrzymujemy, dokładamy troszeczkę głosu, wychodzi nam coś takiego.
More of the voice.
Wiem, że brzmi się wtedy jak debil, ale właśnie tak trzeba robić. Następnie dokładamy troszkę więcej od siebie, wtedy angażujemy
Then he told that we need to engage a little bit more, to give a little bit more from ourselves. I don't know what that exactly means. Maybe we need to engage a little bit more energy. And then happens this.
z chords, robi się coś takiego.
Yeah, so we engage a little bit more, we use more energy, we add the false vocal folds engagement, we sound like this.
Jak już to opanujemy, możemy podnieść to po prostu jeszcze wyżej. Robi nam się coś takiego.
So then he told that that combination of that we increase the pitch of that sound and we get something like this.
Do
Yeah, we get something like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. It's not the thing that he is telling, he just sounds a little bit like Bruce Dickinson.
takiego. Do tego dokładamy dokładnie to samo, co przed chwilą, czyli false chord, fry scream, robi się coś takiego.
And then to that type of Bruce Dickinson vocals, we add again false chords, fry scream. He told we add false chords, fry scream. Maybe he means that we just add a fry, engage in our false vocal folds to the whole process, to the sound of Bruce Dickinson. And then we make a kind of glam metal type of vocals, and then we start to
I właśnie w ten sposób
and then we scream with that sound, and we get a yell scream. That was really interesting. The screaming part itself was pretty good. It was a little bit overcompressed. It was definitely too loud, much louder than it's necessary for it to be. And that overcompression and too high volume simply create more constrictions. Constrictions that can exhaust voice faster, that can lower the quality of our vocals, that can make it much harder to scream higher and to increase the dynamics of our vocals without creating even more constrictions and other uncomfortable, unhealthy, and unnecessary stuff. And now I will analyze it step by step. I will try to replicate what he is doing. Then I will show you what is unnecessary and pointless in this kind of TikTok tutorial. And then I will show you how exactly it can be practiced so it would be more effective. More effective than the original version, but overall it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be very effective at all. It will be just better than original method. Okay, so let's get this shit started.
Najpierw tak, jakbyśmy chcieli kaszlnąć, czyli
He sounds like a suffocating puppy or something.
tu się zatrzymujemy, dokładamy troszeczkę
We stop here and we add a little bit of voice.
głosu, wychodzi nam coś takiego.
Fuck, that was really uncomfortable, but anyway. Everything here. Jaw is tight. area of my larynx is tight as fuck, vocal folds are also tight as fuck. So everything is just
Everything is like this, you know.
it's totally uncomfortable for some people. That kind of hyper compression, over compression, tripled compression, like, can be comfortable, but it doesn't mean that it's the most effective way of working with your voice and producing specific sounds. Okay, so we have that.
Wiem, że brzmi się wtedy jak debil.
At least he tells that he knows that he sounds like an idiot. We all do sound like idiots many times when we practice vocals.
Ale właśnie tak trzeba robić. Następnie
And then he tells like, this is the way how we should do it. I don't think so, my throat doesn't think so too, but let's continue.
dokładamy troszkę więcej od siebie, wtedy
Then we add a little bit more from ourselves, which probably mean that we need to engage a little bit more, use a little bit more energy, maybe some emotions.
angażujemy false chords, robi się
We engage false chords, false vocal folds.
coś takiego.
Okay, so we have that. We start to add the so uncomfortable. We start to add the false vocal folds engagement. By the way, he's not engaging only false vocal folds. He's just, again, tightening his vocal folds, true vocal folds more. He engages a little bit of his false vocal folds, and he definitely engages his area-epiglottic folds to compress the sound more. Okay, so it's like.
So we have something like this. Okay.
And we move forward.
Jak już to opanujemy, możemy podnieść to.
And when this shit, when we master that shit, we can increase the pitch a little bit.
Po prostu jeszcze wyżej robi nam się coś takiego.
Higher. Okay, so we have that. And then we sound like an old man that is touching with his toe a plate of cold water. And if you have a high voice enough, you can sound like Bruce Dickinson, by the way. Okay.
Do tego dokładamy.
That Bruce Dickinson part was actually pretty nice for me as a past listener of Iron Maiden. Listen. And to that Bruce Dickinson, we start to add those false chords again. Okay, so we have. So this is how I sound.
I won't waste myself on you! I would waste myself for you!
The screaming part itself is the best because he's just screaming. He's not like going from that Bruce. He's not going directly from this to the screaming. He ends the kind of tutorial part and he just starts to scream.
I won't waste myself on you! I won't waste myself on you!
And then he screams. So the scream part is the best from here. I'm sure that the guy can do good vocals. Again, they are over compressed. There is much more tension than necessary. It can be pretty exhausting, I guess. I doubt if he's able to scream like this for an hour or something like this. but still, I am sure that he is able to deliver some good screaming, but the way he shows us, the viewers, of how to reach those screams, that's a total garbage, you know. I don't know if you hear it, but my voice is already messed up a little bit and exhausted and raspy, because the first thing, what is not good, that coughing part, like, first thing, too breathy, too violent, and too aggressive, and it's a glottal attack. I don't know how it's possible to do like breathy onset and hard onset at the same time, but it is something like this, you know. It's breathy and very tight at the same time. Fuck. Instead of it can be just
Hey, 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 whoa, whoa, hey, hey.
that's a little bit over compressed voice, which can be heard in many heavy metal bands like Iron Maiden, and for example. Okay, so it doesn't have to be like this. It shouldn't be like this. It's
Hey, whoa.
it can be like this. Okay, the next step. Instead of again, it's more like
Hey, 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 hey.
so it's not something like this. Definitely requiring much less tension and effort. And
Jak
instead of fuck,
Instead of something like this,
which means that voice is swallowed. It's swallowed. It's over compressed. The root of the tongue is tight as fuck. The palate is constricted too. Jaw is constricted. Vocal folds are too tight, and larynx is also too tight. Instead of something like this, again, it can be
ha, hey, hey, yeah, 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 yeah.
and then you can start to add the fry noise, fry distortion. Basic fry noise, or a fry scream with a little bit of false vocal folds engagement. So we have that, and we can start to add that, or so it can sound like this. I never tried it before, you know, and I received that recording today, so it's a fresh thing for me, as other recordings too. Anyway,
Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
okay, it works much better. Then let's continue. Okay, so instead of going from suffocating old man to Bruce Dickinson, I can't sing like Bruce Dickinson. My voice isn't that high at fucking all. So I'll sound worse than him, because that Bruce Dickinson part, the very ending of that part of the video sounds pretty cool, but
So,
my voice is swallowed, moved back, everything is tight, and then without any like logical reason, we need to increase the pitch, brighten the sound color, stop swallowing it, and let the voice to set normally like it should.
hey, Yeah.
It's pointless. Why? Because again, you don't have to do. You can just do.
Ah, 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 yeah.
You can start with brighter sound color. You can start with good resonance, which means the balance between the chest resonance and the head resonance, because no matter if we sing or we should use both head resonance and chest resonance, no matter if we sing with head voice, falsetto, or chest voice. So we can start from it, not
Hey.
we can start with it. So first and the second steps are worthless, pointless. It's total garbage. You can just do you can do it that way. It's much more effective. We will save much time, energy, and the health of your voice. So like 2/3 of the video is a total garbage, very unhealthy, very risky for the health and the condition of the voice. Then it's still over compressed with that Bruce Dickinson vibe, but at least the resonance is better, the sound color is brighter, and the sound is not swallowed and not so fucking tight in the throat and larynx. And then he starts to gradually break his voice and distort it.
Yeah. No one wastes myself on you.
It's not quite that fried distortion. It's more like yeah. It's definitely closer to jazz distortion for singing. So there is not too much of the fry here, but it can be done with the fry, you know? It can be like yeah. And it's fry. But he does it more with the distortion. There is more of the cartilaginous engagement and false vocal folds engagement than the fry distortion, than the fry itself. Okay. It reminds me a little bit of what Sam Carter does in Architects in the chorus of Doomsday Song. It's very, very similar. That on a very high pitch, mixed voice, pretty high volume and intensity. I guess that this guy has much higher voice than me. I am more like bass, baritone. Garbage parts. That coughing, like barking and coughing like a suffocating puppy. Garbage. Moving back and swallowing the voice. Fucking garbage. And third thing, brightening the sound color and letting it to set as it should. It's also pointless because we can start from the very beginning with a properly set voice and resonance. So why to swallow the voice and exhaust it when we can do it properly from the very beginning, you know? And that's a fucking garbage. Then fourth thing, Bruce Dickinson vibe. This is good. Woo! This is good, a bit over compressed and too tight, but good. So he could begin from then going for the Bruce Dickinson, and then gradually adding distortion while increasing the pitch of that Bruce Dickinson kind of vocals to access screaming. And this is what he could do. So it's like gradually adding the distortion, increasing the pitch of the voice, breaking the voice, and letting it to blend with the distortion, like
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And here we have a scream. Compression. Compression with voice, increasing the pitch of the voice and gradually adding the distortion to make a scream.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Put me out of my misery.
And here we have a scream. Woohoo! All right. So, thank you, David, for sending me this recording. I've received independently another recording from that guy from another person. Okay, so that was the third recording. I see that I fucked up again because it took me over 1 hour so far and we have only like 3 recordings. Anyway, no bullshit talking. Fourth recording. Let's see what will appear next.
There is a thing you should know about me. I am and have always been this deep, the sad man.
Okay, so we have a recording from Iran. Let me know how to pronounce your name. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong, probably. Iran. I will just try to find the message from you so we would know what do you want to tell us. Oh, all right. So we have a message from Iran. Hello, I added the wave file. This is from a cover video of Harakiri for the Sky. I, Paul Bearer by me. I do false chord yell scream or something like that as the HFTS vocalist does. Started practicing vocals in the spring of 2020 but cannot do it regularly, to be honest, because of my life conditions. I recorded the file with an ordinary Samsung phone's microphone in the car, otherwise my neighbors would have called the police. Fuck your neighbors, damn, they shouldn't limit you as an artist. All the mixing removed, it's raw. It's very good that it's raw, thank you. Nickname, Homecoming would be good, ha 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 ha. That's a fucking decent nickname. I'm happy that finally some crazy nickname appeared. Homecoming. It's like homecoming, but homecoming. You little dirty boy. Anyway, we have a recording from Homecoming and his final words. Finally, thanks. Without your altruistic helps, everything would be way harder, or maybe I would be discouraged already in the spring of 2020. Thank you. Thank you for such kind words. I just try my best and deliver good content and exercises for free. Okay, and those exercises are actually tested on me and my students before I will upload any kind of video. So everything is tested before it's published. Homecoming, Yell Scream with false chord, Harakiri for the Sky cover, and let's listen again. What is good, what requires fixing, and how to do it.
There is a thing you should know about me.
Yeah, so indeed, it's like a distortion closer to the false chord engagement, a little bit of cartilages engagement as well. That combined with a little bit broken voice.
There is a thing you should know about me. There is a thing you should know about me.
It might be also epiglottis that is engaged because both cartilages, arytenoid cartilages, and the epiglottis can create that kind of gargly and rattling sound beneath the distortion. So I guess that, first of all,
something you should know about me.
Da. Voice is it's simply too tight. It's da. It's a glottal attack, you know. Vocal folds are da. There isn't too much space for the distortion left, you know. And so this is something to fix.
Something you should know about me. There is a thing you should know about me.
It's a bit overcompressed as well, but I think that it's mostly because of aiming for too powerful, too loud sound that is causing the extra tension and pressure. So this is something to fix. The very beginning of the sound and the volume. If you will do it properly, so instead of it can be a little bit more it can be a little bit more whiny, a little bit more broken, then vocal folds will be much more relaxed and it will be easier to aim for higher pitch without pushing so hard. So there is a thing, there is a thing, there is a thing, there is a thing.
There is a thing you should know about me.
It sounds much better than
there is a thing you should know about me. There is a thing, there is a thing you should know.
So again, clean voice. Too chesty, too heavy, glottal attack, too high volume. And again, as probably in the first recording, that extra pressure is engaging more your epiglottis and or the arytenoid cartilages instead of false vocal folds for the distortion.
You should know about me. I am and have always been this deep, the sad man. So I am both laughing and crying at the same time, as to try to discover how that could be.
Everything is just too forceful, too tight, too heavy. I would suggest you to practice with the exercise that I shown previously. So you can use the vocal break. You can check out actually a video of mine, alternative way of how to scream. Also check out the video about how to vocal distortion, singing with distortion exercises, and check out Kargira Throat's singing tutorial. Distortion,
Yeah.
closer to the false chord, a bit of cartilages but not too much, voice, false vocal folds, a bit of other tissues in the larynx.
Yeah.
Throat singing, it will help you to engage your false vocal folds more precisely without extra unnecessary pressure and tension. And the video about the alternative way of how to scream will show you how to access the vocal break and how to use your vocal break for accessing the scream. There's also another good video that will help you. It's about a fry scream warm-up for high pitch and the mid pitch. So the beginning is about a high, mid-high pitch. When we do a crying sound, it's easier to access higher pitch. Also, vocal folds are more relaxed and the voice is a little bit broken, and there is more space for the distortion to appear, and without unnecessary pressure, it's easier to engage false chord distortion or fry distortion, or fry with a little bit of false vocal folds engagement for the scream. So you can check out those videos and work on on the resonance. You can also watch the previous analysis because I showed there plenty of exercises for the proper resonance, combining the head and the chest resonance. And other stuff that will help you to begin the sound a little bit softer without any unnecessary tension, pressure, or too much air. The next thing, it will be not so heavy, not so chesty, not so much placed in the throat, more then the a little bit broken voice with the crying sound, distortion, or the throat singing.
There is a thing you should know about me.
And here we have a scream. Right, so this was the recording from Homecoming, and the last recording for today's analysis.
Oh, to be buried beneath the waves. Isaiah's grave is our grave. Bury me 5,000 fathoms deep, and leave my bones for the depths.
Yeah, that sounds fucking cool, especially the beginning. This is the false chord with compression and just a little bit of voice, just a little bit. But it's mostly false chord, compression, and very tiny amount of voice. Just kind of like metalcore, deathcore vocals.
Oh, to be buried.
And something like this. This part.
Waves.
A little constriction appeared in the neck, and it squeezed, smashed the sound. Just listen from here.
Beneath the waves.
That extra tension and pressure appears, and when it's combined with creating any kind of sound, voice is blocked. It's just not necessary. But other than that, you sound fucking cool. And let's see what Alex wanted to tell us. Okay, so we have the message from Alex. Hey brother, here is a piece of Boneyards by Parkway Drive. I messed around in some local bands for a couple years back around 2010. Woo-hoo-hoo! In 2010. And this is what I actually wrote to Alex. I didn't know how to pronounce death metal, you know? I was like dead metal. Or instead of grindcore, it was grindcore. Or instead of thrash metal, it was thrash metal, you know? And I was listening to Disturbed, to Godsmack, and to Linkin Park. And I didn't do any vocals others than during music lessons. Anyway, 2010 is fucking long time. Much respect. So that's probably why you sound so fucking cool, even when you focus on driving a car. And okay, so a couple years back around 2010, but didn't pick Screaming back up until several months ago when I came across your channel. That's very interesting. In my opinion, false chord is my strongest technique. Hey, it sounds really fucking strong. It definitely has those Parkway Drive vibes, because there it's not like it's not brutal deathcore stuff like that. In Parkway Drive there is a bit of voice, false chord, and very little of cartilages in the studio, because on live, in my opinion, with all respect to the band and the vocalist from Parkway Drive, he sucks. I practice with students who are much fucking better when they do a Parkway Drive cover than he's doing on live shows. And greetings to Rune from Germany. You are a fucking cool vocalist and can't wait to continue our practice. Anyway, So in Parkway Drive there is the false chord, there is a little bit of voice and other stuff, and that vibe is very strong in Alex's vocals. And in my opinion, Alex is also much better than the original vocalist from Parkway Drive. Okay, let's listen again.
Oh, to be buried beneath the waves.
We'll get back to those highs soon. Okay, so in my opinion, false chord is my strongest technique, so naturally I would like to polish it the best I can. That being said, my fry is very weak and I may send you that as well. I think that Alex sent me more recordings, but as I mentioned previously in the last episode, I just want to include one recording from each of the person that sends me stuff in each episode. Thanks for all your content, I really enjoy it. Thank you very much, I'm happy to read that. Feel free to do whatever you want with the video. Cheers from Texas, USA. PS, you can refer to me as Hinky Punk or Alex. Hinky Punk. That's really cool nickname. I don't know what does it mean, but I prefer Alex. Alex is a really cool name, and it's a real name. Anyway, cheers from Poland. Okay, so I really like the depth, the power, the fact that you don't overuse the compression, you don't try to use too high volume, too high intensity. Everything seems to be perfectly balanced. You seem to know the song very well as well. So those things sound pretty good. Just avoid unnecessary tension in the area of your throat, neck, head, and your shoulders, and so on. Okay, and now the highs.
Grave is our grave. Bury me.
Here we have much more cartilages engagement. False chord too, and everything is a little bit whispery. For me, such vocals are a little bit irritating for the area of my soft palate and the uvula. They are also very quiet, so they don't work too good for live shows. They are simply too quiet. So what would happen instead of you did and tried to blend it with your false chord, so it's not anymore like or like
it's something like a child and demon and something.
This is something like this. And here we have.
And here we have a high-pitched false chord with cartilages engagement as well. That kind of goblin scream vibe. And it's pretty good. I do it many times on rehearsals, on live shows. I switch between fry scream, fry with false vocal false engagement, and that kind of mid-high, high-pitched goblin. So instead of that's the whole difference. And let's listen to the further part.
Bury me 4,000 fathoms deep and leave my bones for the depths. For the depths. For the.
While inhaling, you tried too early to begin the phrase with your scream. So it's like instead of it's more like okay, so it seems to me like the air didn't reach lungs and diaphragm as it should, and you started to produce screaming. Listen again, that's a very small detail. I don't know if everyone of you will hear that and will know what I mean.
And leave my bones for the gym. For the gym. For the
instead of
For the gym. For the gym. For the gym.
it's
For the gym.
it's a little bit. I am over exaggerating again, so sorry. So when you inhale the air, make sure that it's fast, it's silent, and deep enough before you will start to produce any screams.
And leave my bones for the gym.
So it's like
Duh, 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 duh. For the gym.
instead of
Duh, 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 duh. For the gym. For the gym.
it's just about the way how you inhale the air in between the parts of the song, between the words, phrases, and so on. And again, it's not that easy to control that and at the same time focus on the road. So I guess that first of all, when you stand, you have better control over your breathing, your posture, and your breath support, and everything. And the second thing is simply easier to do vocals with a better technique when you don't drive a car and you don't have to focus on the road. So I guess that everything is perfectly fine. But if I had to point 3 things to work on, the first thing, avoid sudden movement and tension of your neck, your head when you do vocals. The second thing, you can replace with a little bit fuller sound for the higher false chord. And the last thing, just let the air to get to the proper place in your lungs and your diaphragm when you inhale between phrases. Alright, so I have to be going because I see that I am late for the lesson and I have to edit the video today and upload it for tomorrow. So I will be busy as fuck. I think that it took around, again, 2 fucking hours of analysis. I hope you will like it. I tried to share many helpful details and show them in practice. I hope you will like the video. Let me know if you do. And let me know what can be improved, what is fucking good, what has to be fixed, and so on to make it much better. Alright, so that's it for now. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Have a great practice. Cheers and love, fuckers.